A very good afternoon and welcome to everyone who's been watching this one more episode of Arctic Speaks Series 20. I am Abhishek Manjabacharya, architect, I'm a designer, and also the 13th EC member and the coordinator for Society of Nepalese Architects Young Architects Committee. So today here we have a very special guest from Malaysia who is not only an architect but also an entrepreneur, an artist, a businessman, a filmmaker, and whatnot. So today we have architect Rida Razak from Malaysia, who is also the chairman of the Arc Asia Committee for Young Architects. So we are right now going on live on Facebook too. You can watch us live from there. So talking about Mr. Rida Razak, I mean architect Rida Razak, he has the experience of about 15 years in various fields. He's also the partner of Abra's Architect, ARN Consulting Architecture Training Company, and Citizens Lab, which is also a social enterprise that handles the creative community master plan. And he's also the board member of Architects, the Malaysian Institute of Architects, Malaysian Institute of Interior Designers, Malaysian Institute of Planners, Malaysian Institute of Arbitrators, Malaysian Institute of Fire Engines, Inspector of Works Associations, ICOMOS. And also in 2019, he is now the creative director of Heritage Building Rumah Tangsi Heritage Placemaking, Event Space Managing Committee for markets, the hip hop concerts, artists, and the music video production too. Currently, he's also involved and he's also involved in filmmaking in 2020 Malaysian Productivity Corporation. So, without any further much delay, we have architect Rida Razak from Malaysia. Um, Rida, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Hello, Salamat Tangga Hari. I mean, good
Uh,
afternoon. And also Salamat Datang. Welcome to Mr. Rida Razak. Good
thank
afternoon.
you. All right. So thank you very much, Mr. A.R. Abhishek, for and also President Anju and Sona for inviting me. So today I'll be sharing my some topics on the leadership. All right. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for today. I hope you guys having a good day today. Today I'll be talking about architectural leadership and youth development in architecture. And before that, I would like to thank Sona for inviting me to give a little bit of a talk sharing session with Sona and the young members. So before I start, a little bit about myself, as Abhishek has mentioned, a little bit about my background. I'm an architect, multidisciplinary, a green building consultant, account educator, trainer, and multiple things. At the same time, I'm some of my few achievement and also involved in many organizations. A little bit about my career is basically I am with my family, inherit a practice of architecture. And then also I run a company, training company with my partner, which I think, which have given a talk, I think about a few weeks ago in Sona, also Mr. Adrianta Aziz. At the same time, I run this company called Citizens Lab, which is a digital agency. We do web systems, filming, and also many things. And last year, I was appointed as the chairman of AKIA for 2019 up to 2021. So this is my family. I practice architecture with my mother and father, and then also my sister. So I have six in my family. So the other two sisters are head admin, and also graphics and events for the company. Yeah. So we always actually meet at home or in the office. So it's actually 24 hours meeting every day. Yeah? Some of our projects that we do is on a government and private works. These are some of the projects I've done. Our biggest project is actually doing the stadium, football stadium, and Selangor. Then these are some of the current works that we are doing now in Malaysia. We do a lot of container works now, container resorts. And then recently we just completed this housing projects. We one of my friend is the client, very young guy, at 34, he's developed this mass housing, which quite interesting. He's quite free in doing. Then currently we're doing this project called the Container Resort. Still ongoing construction. Hopefully by end of this year will be completed. And then recently we did the National Rugby Sports Complex, which will commence next month. This is the Federal Territory Minister and the Deputy Minister of Sports. So me and my sister presented the work with them. Some view of how the complex. It's actually quite interesting. It's in the wetlands, so it's quite complicated in terms of handling the environmental requirements. Some views of it. At the same time, I'm also a teacher. I have a training academy with Adrianta, so we do a lot of teaching, helping the young architects to propel themselves in their industry. And then my digital agency, we do a lot of this kind of policy making or engagement master plan. So what we do is we plan for local government in terms of planning, in terms of their events, also their digital programs and physical programs, and also planning for their community center, and also do the measurement. So the measurement, we develop the web system for the government. And also I run this building, beautiful heritage building, as the director of this heritage building. So as the director, we do a lot of activities such as exhibitions, and then markets, and then concerts. And then we recently did a Netflix. Quite excited. Next year, we just been called to do another Netflix. So, but it depends on the cross border. If the cross border open, then we'll be doing another movie with American movie next year. Some of the current works that we are currently doing is hybrid fashion show, urban farms, engagement with communities in terms of planning events and also exhibitions. So from that, quite interesting. So from that place, I get to meet a lot of leaders in my country. Recently, I did a program with the Minister of Health, Minister of Tourism, Minister of Economy, and Minister of Women and Community. So it's open platform for me and my team to actually meet a lot of people and also explore creativity and encourage heritage and tourism in our city. So enough about myself. So having been in a lot of businesses and also in associations, thank you very much to Madam President Anju for inviting me and giving me this opportunity with leadership, especially for the youth. It's very important for the architects nowadays to actually propel up and then become the leader that they should be. So my presentation will be covering three things. First part will be covering architectural leadership, and then youth development and case study. I will end with the tips for young architects on about how they can go about in their life. Learning outcome today, I will be exposed to architectural. I will expose everyone to architectural leadership qualities that is required for an architect to become leader. Then some awareness to youth development and case studies, and taking youth action for a new normal. So now education in the era of globalization is very different. Previously, last time it's only you go to class and then within a loci, but now it's very accelerated through mobility, people, goods, and information. So even when we have internet, it makes things very fast. Especially during this pandemic, everyone starts to use Zoom, use online platforms. So the education is much more faster, and a lot of companies are slowly moving towards digital. So because of the mobility, there's a lot of effect. increase mobility of student workforce in their diverse background. So it widens the gap between people, nation, and region, sense of crisis, the question simple memorization of existing body knowledge. So knowledge are shared now everywhere, and the demand of innovation. This pandemic really, although it's a setback, but it's actually expedite a lot of digital communication between countries. So we have done a lot of activities between the countries. So because of this mobilization, there's a need to develop students, young architects, to have a lot of skills, because there's a lot of new type of job scope that will happen in the future. What skills that the young ones should be looking at is actually create competent human resource in knowledge base. So you cannot really only know one type of knowledge. You have to know multiple type of knowledge to be multidisciplinary. Effective communication, have to find new ways of communication and finding solutions of problems. Wide-ranging generic skills, creativity, flexibility, autonomy, teamwork, communication skills, and critical thinking. So a lot of skills that you have to. Later, I will show you some uh, some survey that we did with the young architects, and the things that they are very focused on in terms of skills. Also learning for employability and civic life. So, and I mean, some places are quite difficult now. A lot of retrenchment happening around, especially throughout this pandemic. And then learning to be resourceful to survive. So you have to be now resourceful and know the demand, so that you can give to the market anything that you want to supply. Like I said just now, job of the future. There's a lot. So there's a shift between 2015 2020. So in 2015, all this job scope, but the skills now they are demand in 2020 is still complex problem solving, but now a lot about critical thinking, creativity. People are looking at it in Malaysia. There's a lot of government is giving a lot of grants for creative industry. Yeah. So as an architect, actually, architecture is actually part of the creative industry. So if you actually merge with other types of industries such as tourism or entertainment, you can have a lot of exhibitions, art. You can have more creative powers or creative funds to do things. People management also in a demand in the future in 2020, and then all the other things. These are very important things that the young architects should be looking at throughout this. So the implication of education in 21st century. So you can look at the new demands, so that in order to supply. So when we have demands, you have to look at the emerging trends. We have the new normal trends, economic growth, which is from going up now going down a little bit, and I don't know whether next year it will go up. Yesterday there was had a debate in the parliament. They were talking about the potential of economic growth in Malaysia, from 2% to -2 to 6% next year. I hope that is true. I hope it's similar to other countries. And then growing youth unemployment, changing labor structure, increasing inequality, rising. These are some of the issues. Technological advancement, especially with the drones, with the VR, virtual reality, AR, and also natural disasters happening, like the bomb in Beirut. There's a lot of things happening. Changes are uneasy and very non-linear in terms of the world now. But that creates a new supply. Now for the new young architects, you have to be more adaptable. Must be more transversal. 21st century skill, like I mentioned just now. You have to do a lot of lifelong learning. Keep on continuing after finish university. You still go to do short courses, do your professional paper, and then keep on learning. Training also for non-existing jobs. So a lot of new jobs are coming in. Like in PAM now, we have a trainer. He's a tourist architect that do tourism. So he's teaching some of the architects to become tourist guide for architecture in PAM, and then preparing for migrations, digital learning, how to actually plan the digital learning, because digital learning can be very exhausting. And then there's a lot of various pathway to learning in terms of courses, online courses, but we don't forget we have to leverage cultures, values. So because of this, there's a need to be transformative changes in in terms of our lifelong learning or education. So some of the some of the universities in Malaysia, I see they are starting to have a new program, what we call holistic student architecture. So they teach about entrepreneurship from the start during the architecture education. So that's quite good. And then also leadership they input inside the course. And then well, learning, you can never stop learning. So but you have to, UNESCO highlighted that the importance of learning to know. That's the most important thing you have to know. Then after that you have to know how to do, and then you have to know how to engage, live together, and then learning to be how to be. And then at the same time you learn how to transform yourself into the society. Once you transform yourself into the society, then there's a lot of things that you can do with the society, and you can actually showcase your leadership. The future demands is no longer multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, but it's actually transdisciplinary approach where you have to work with other industries. It will be hybrid between physical and digital. So you have to learn how to actually work with others industry to do not only looking at just doing the building, but at the same time looking at after post building, what can you actually help with the community or plan for the community from the start. Of course, current pandemic. This was the current pandemic, uh, which has happened in May. In May was 4.2 million cases. But let's see, August now, how many? It's already 19 million confirmed case worldwide. This is today. And then the 4 million is equivalent to US now. So this is quite scary what's happening in the world now. And then the cases are quite continuing. Very important for architects to showcase, to show our leaders start to go to the government to look at in terms of how to help the community and also create new policies. So that I thought it was quite I think it's same as other countries. Everyone's trying to play their role in terms of being part of helping the nation in terms of going through this hardship. So, but before that, I would like to talk about a little bit about leadership. Do you know what's leadership? A leader is one who inspires and motivates action. Having a can-do personality and strong leadership skill is very key to leading the change. So, to become a leader is not easy. You have to have a lot of attributes, able to motivate, and then you have to have a strong character, and then you have to have all these skills. You have to be good in communication both ways, not one-way traffic. Able to motivate, give positive motivation, also creative in doing things, not one-liner. Get feedbacks, but you get feedback also you know how to actually implement that feedback. So that's very important for a leader to have this leadership skills. And then the most important thing when you have becoming a leader, you have to know your loci context. I mean, everyone have their own loci. So you look back at the leadership from being a leader at home, office, at site, and you're in your architectural facility, like what we're having today with this in SONA, the event, and then with your community, your nation, region, world, all requires different ways of leadership in terms of bringing people together. But leadership that you can motivate people to create good outcomes. Yeah. And then which one does our architects value more? Is it design excellence or service? This is something that we have to ask ourselves. I'm quite attracted to some of the other countries like India, and then other countries where they have a lot of awards like service awards. They appreciate the service of the members. Unlike many of countries are very concentrated on design excellence, because it's very important to actually when you have leaders is very and also a lot of the people who volunteer, you always have to acknowledge them. How do we view architecture leaders? So in architecture, we have these three associations which is relevant to us, which is the UIA, Union of Institute of Architects, World, and then the Acacia, and of course all the other institute that is available in the Acacia, including SONA. So of course, when you know all this institute, you have to know the leaders. So in Acacia, we have A.R. Ritaso, which is the president of Acacia, and then A.R. Thomas Vonia, which is the president of UIA, And this is one of my I inspired by this leader. He's the governor of Java. He's an architect, by the way, Ridho Kamil. A lot of things that he has done for Indonesia. You can learn a lot from him. So when you want to become leader, you always have to have inspiration. So you can find your inspiration. But before you can become a good leader, you have to know yourself. The 4 personality types of a leader that you a person is whether you is a driver, whether you're an expressive person, whether you're an analytical person, whether you are an amiable person. You can actually go online and take the test, so you can see which angle of a person you are in terms of this. When I started, when I was doing Akia workshop about 3 years ago in Thailand, we actually had all the Akia members to take the exam to see what kind of a person they are. So that was quite interesting. So when you know this, you know how you sort of like direct yourself to whichever strength that you have. And then become a leader, you need to have trust. First thing, most important is sincerity. To have trust, you with sincerity, you have to be reliable. Reliable is most important, meaning that must be punctual, and then commitment also. You have to commit. You have to show your integrity, show you that you have to be competent and consistent. So with this is what is architect's most common enemy? Abhishek, do you know what's architect's most common enemy? Or
Not exactly.
ah, so architect's most common enemy is ego equals 1 over knowledge. More knowledge, lesser ego. Lesser knowledge, more the ego. Is it true, Abhishek?
Well, I was thinking the
Yeah. So
other way around. I mean,
ego is yeah. So I think I cannot lie that a lot there's architects. A lot of we have this problem in terms of a little bit of ego. So ego in what? Can you handle the truth? Yeah. My observation, ego it makes you think you know everything. Sometimes you put yourself before others, motivate through negativity, leading by top down and not engage, selfish to share opportunity and platform. You think you are interesting, but the newspaper don't. So these are some of the issues that usually what we survey between the young architects that to know what is our weaknesses in order for us to improve better in the future. And then that when you become a leader is either are you a leader or you're a boss. Boss drives employee, they direct instead of leader, they actually coach them, and then always say we, they don't say I, and then show how it's done, give credit us, and also say, and then they also always let go. Me and my Adrianta, we always have this test of to see what kind of leader you are. So what we do is we always bring young ones to the karaoke, and then singing, and then when they sing, we see how they sing, meaning that whether they will we will choose the duet song. We will see whether how they will do the collaboration of throughout the whole song. That means a very we need to a little bit fix. But if they start to actually collaborate in terms of singing, then meaning that we can work together. Yeah, interesting, Abhishek. You can try that method, Abhishek.
yeah,
Yeah, and then boss directs, leaders, let's go. So you have to always show good examples to others that then only others will follow. A boss will direct, and then some people are good. They also go down to the grassroots to actually help out. And then what architect needs is this is the challenge between the designers and the users is the empathy. We need to be a little bit empathize, appreciate people, communicate our understanding, see the world from our eyes and other people's eyes, and also keep on understanding other people's feeling and our feeling. So it's not one linear, because we always look at one side of the we always have to think of the other side, what they feel. So that creates empathy. Once you have empathy, then you will be more engaged and your design will be much more better in terms of planning. Yeah. This is a diagram that I developed just to define what type of architect leader is around. So like I said just now, the value, whether it's design or service. So the inclination is between design and practice or hybrid. So a design leader will be concentrating more on designers' behavior, concern on design, practice fighter in policy, involved in practice issues. So the difficult part is actually to find the center, which is the hybrid, able to balance the both worlds. This is what my observations in associations, because when in an association, some are always in the practice trying to so but sometimes you need a balance in terms of both worlds so you can actually propel and make things, because you cannot leave any of this side. Because we are architects, we still have to be a designer. At the same time, we still need to do practice and construct the building, and we have liability. Yeah? And then become a leader that facilitates. You are able to direct the learners together, so that you collaborate with others instead of directing one-way traffic to others. This is similar to the boss and leader comparison. So a leader must be able to share the ability to conduct, like facilitate, ability to mentor, learning, motivate, educate, develop, practice, workshop, knowledge, skills, instruction. So I am quite happy that next month, end of this month, we're gonna have a event between Akia and ACPP practice. It's about mentorship and also advice from good speakers. I will share with you some of the speakers later on. And then also the most important thing is to instill spirit of collaboration. We cannot no longer work alone. We have to work together now. If we work alone, it's very hard to move forward. So it's good to collaborate, communicate, brainstorming, cooperation, discussion, teamwork, skills, supports. Yeah, I've compiled for you guys very good collaborative tools that you can use in terms of when you do meetings or discussions. I think a lot of schools, but recently we are in my school. I'm learning masters. We are using this some of these other softwares called Pastel, tools, collaborative tool Pastel, so we can actually visualize planning for projects. And then the Porter 5 force to look at the forces, what are the issues of potential factors that will affect. Scenario planning, what potential positive or negative outcome, and also what is the critical success factors of a project. So I always use this kind of tools to implement within the project to see how far. And sixth reason why we collaborate is collaboration fail is trust between the parties, no clear strategy, dominant and self-interest, vision not aligned, communication problem, unable to solve disputes. So this, if you can move away from this, you can solve a lot of the collaboration problems lah. And of course, we have to work as a team. Together, everyone will achieve more. If you work as a team, you can do many things. And again, that was the first part about leadership. Now, a lot of associations now trying to set up their youth arm inside the associations. Even PAM is we are setting up the youth wing committee this year, with a lot of new young members coming in to do. We just had our graduates fair, looking into new jobs. The senior members come talking about their office, and then the young ones will come and interview within the office. That was quite interesting. That was the first time we did it. And then others I will explain later. So what we want, or what the youth wants. So always when you become leader, you always want to know what the people under you wants. So when you know what people want, then you can address the issue. So which one are you? I'm a senior and always right. So are you a always right person, or are you a listener? You like to listen to people? Do you like to impose ideas and listen? You impose idea and get listen from other people's view. Or you a listener and impose ideas? You listen first and then you impose ideas. Or are you a listen and share ideas? Or are you a listen, share, and integrate ideas? So I purposely put this slide is because there's a lot of type of people in when you around and when you do discussions. These are the type of people that I noticed that if you have any of these different type of people, then it's very difficult for you to actually But then you have to. But the best is actually to listen and share and integrate ideas. So then when you integrate ideas, the idea will be much more matured and you can do more creative things. And then I would like to share six case studies. So case studies I will share is starting from bottom to top. How do you actually educate the young ones from small to big? And then creating the youth platform is very important for us to create the youth platform, leading by capacity building and lifelong learning. So I mean, a lot of things that I have done by the institute. But as the young ones, also you need to actually share knowledge with your peers. That creates more capacity building, and also keep on going to new courses to learn. And then participating to create a vision. So you have to, when you have a group of people, you have to do participation to create new visions or creative ideas to direction. Involved in sustainable movement. So SDG now, I think sustainable development goal is quite big. So get yourself involved in SDG, dealing with new normal, of course. So case study one from bottom is actually when you talking about youth, you have to know what are the target market of the youth. Kids and teenagers, students, graduates, young professional, and the less fortunate. So what is the target? So it depends on which community that you are involved in. Like myself, I go to a lot of the little kindergartens to talk about architecture. So because when I go to kindergartens, I ask, what do you want to be? They always say want to become doctors, want to become firemen or policemen. Nobody knows about architecture, so it's good that if we are young architects, we teach them from the start what does architects do. Then also, you can create a lot of platform for kids in terms of color competition, speaking competition, architecture, architecture base. This is a project by Adrianta. He did a competition on watercolor for young kids. Also expose kids to urban placemaking. So we do this kind of things, placemaking with the kids. This is in Putrajaya, exposing school to placemaking. So if you expose them from the start, they will have interest. And then teaching in the high schools. And then also for the young architects also, we always conduct classes for the young architects. So we give them motivation through inspiration through the nationalistic anthem, and then after that we teach them. This is our daily classes, and then also be inclusive and no discrimination to others. So you try to unite everyone to which community are you in now? That's the first thing. And then the second part is when you are empowered to have the platform, you can start to create more youth platform because youth need more platform. So how to create youth platform? So there's a lot of ways. Number one is to create sense of belonging for the youth. Once you create a platform, you create a sense of belonging, and promoting volunteerism, introducing formal and informal platforms. So you can use digital and physical platform to communicate with the youth. And the architecture is not everything. There's also life. You can start to talk about life. Also integrate architecture in it, integrate interests, and then also not to forget lah, the youth now they crave for recognition and appreciation. So if you create small things like certificates or awards or what, or there's a lot that then they will start to come and volunteer. Some of the things that we can do is through student workshops. That this is one of the program we did. And then cross-culture presentation or cross-culture performance with the kids. This was the one of the program that we did in Akia in KL. We create Pecha Kucha program. This was Sunny talking about her work on community-driven innovations. It's quite interesting, from Hong Kong. And then we also create a recreational platform. I understand in uh, in in Nepal, SONA, they have their football. So last year I organized the World Architect Football Cup. So we had about seven countries that joined this program. Japan, China. It's quite interesting. Yeah. So other part is actually creating Young Architects Award. This is quite important. I mean, I hope that Architecture Asia Emerging Architects Award will be continued next year. But hopefully there's new awards. I personally is working with some of the architects to actually looking into new type of Archia awards for young architects in terms of design and services. So hopefully we can kick in that one by next year. And then also we work with the emerging awards last year to have some young architects to experience how to do judging with famous architect. So this is an interesting platform where they can learn in terms of the process of judging. Okay, case study 3 is leading by capacity building, lifelong learning. So traditionally, progress of becoming an architect is quite traditional. It's education. Then you get experience, you get go examination, and then you do license and certification. And then from there, you become an architect. So I don't know whether Abhishek in Nepal, do you have architects in Nepal? He's not there. But anyway,
Sorry, sorry.
so
Yeah, I'm
we
here.
did a survey. Do you have exam?
No, no. But recently, I mean, we have uh,
Licensure exam in
uh,
SONA?
for the license.
I see. Yeah.
No, recently our council, I mean, the engineering council has passed a bill that the
Uh,
graduates now have to give an exam for the license. Yeah, for the license. So
I see. All right.
otherwise, it's a direct graduation from the campus or colleges, and then you get to the work.
I see. So that's from the university straight away they do the exam and then straight away they can practice. Yeah. So basically, Akia did a survey 2 years ago on 2017, 18. These are the top issues of young architects: salary too low, too many unregistered. There's a lot of unregistered architects around practicing, and then client don't trust young architects. Difficult to start practice, unlevel playing grounds, demotivated due to low fees, and then one of it is professional exams. So one of the things that we focus, me and is challenges of advancement of young architects, working architects are actually in Malaysia is actually exams. The exams is quite little bit challenging, but of course the system is there to actually make them more competent architects. So there's issues like mismatch between tertiary education, office are either busy or not enough to teach the young architects. Legal and contract subject is dry, becoming complex. And then also cognitive alignment between the exam subject and the marking, and then train facilitators, whether there's good people who actually teach them in terms of becoming the architects. So what I did was me and Adrianta, we set up this. We went to take an exam to become a professional trainer, and then we set up this platform called Lab Learning Architecture Practice to teach, to create a community of teaching, learning, sharing of learning between each young architect. So they actually become but what little that we know that after opening that program, we have actually to date we have actually trained over more than 500. It's actually already about 1,000. Youngest are 24 and the oldest is 65. We're getting a lot of matured student, lecturer, PhD, practitioners, local authority who's actually willing to share knowledge and then also be part of the community. Yeah? So now we expanded to the whole of Malaysia, our program. So we have a lot of facilitators around helping the young architects in all regions from Peninsula and then also from the government. So everyone, so we create a sharing community. I'm very happy now that some of the students now already open their own program to help others. So that's what we want. We want to create a community that's always sharing and also not only sharing knowledge, but future possible become like Grab, become like Uber, sharing sharing economy between the architects or sharing jobs between the economy and collaborate. Some of the others we have trained. So the outcome, because those are trainings, what is the outcome from this? Some of the outcomes is learning community, and then we get critical thinking between the students. They start doing this kind of diagrams, looking into contracts, looking into legal. So a lot of things that we can actually do research with them together. And then also, of course, comradeship, trust and respect, sharing community, so, and then leadership and confidence, yeah. And then, of course, once they are here, they start to volunteer to come back and teach. So these are some of the positive things that we get from creating this sharing platform between the young architects. And then the bigger outcome is some of this, the young architects from the platform have become national icon. They become, this is one of my students, Peggy. Miss Peggy is a honorary secretary for World Urban Sketches. Then they win awards and also win, grants. This is what we want for the young architects. When they become sharing, they propel and fulfill their destiny and push themselves to the limit. Okay, case study 4 is basically participation to create a vision. So this I will share about the Akia experience, leading 1 year of leading. Actually, going to 2 years. This is my second year. So I take over from the first and second chairman, which is Air Forward for Pakistan and Singapore. So that's this me now. Uh, but the progress was a little bit different because Air Forward was the first chairman. That was the setting up process, and then comes Tanzuhan. We sat down a lot planning, and then now it's the execution phase where we've done a lot of activities. It's very important, like I said just now, SWOT is one of the tools. We do SWOT on Akia also. We see what is the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. So from there we can see how can we work together, what is our issues, weakness, because everyone is everywhere. What is our strength? We are all energetic and all mostly are technological savvy, and we have same wavelength, and we have common interests like to party or sing. And then the threats, and then the opportunity, what we can do together. Everyone far apart. One of the issues of the threat of youth, I see not sure with other countries, but I see majority of the young association have problem with getting funding for their programs. Then opportunity, we can share ideas, grow and learn together, collaborative, and then maybe find boyfriend or girlfriend, maybe. So this is how we create the trust and unity. So this was a meeting. You see, Suzanne is there. Abhishek, can I see you here? Maybe you here.
No,
Maybe you here. Yes, I see you, Abhishek. Yeah, there you are. So we sing together. And then in order to understand the young in the whole region, we do a survey. So actually
yeah.
there's about 38,000 young architects in zone A, B, C, which got from the survey. Probably will be more. But in terms of the youth committee setup, um, a lot of the association have already a youth setup, but some don't have yet youth setup. But they are slowly going, because this is one of the vision of Acacia Constitution, where to help other countries to set up. But doesn't mean that all setup must be the same. Setup can be different. But in terms of countries, if each youth committee have different level of age, some have 35 below, some 40, some 45, and some we don't have any details. And then also from there, we look at the Acacia President Vision, President Rita. Her focus now is in terms of social awareness, education, environmental sustainability, design excellence, stewardship. And the focus is looking into cross-border collaborations, how to quicken pace preservation, conservation, how can we leverage IT and IoT, how can we do sustainable, can relate to sustainability. So I think throughout this pandemic, it has expedited all this within the digital world. The challenge is, once all this over, how do we expedite it in the physical world? So we do a lot of brainstorming within the committee and then discuss. So sharing online, we use Google Drive, Dropbox, Zoom, and then we create WhatsApp, and then we do the Facebook. So we have a multiple way of communicating. Now we have other types of online platform to use. So we constantly communicate. The key is to communicate between people, to have more programs, or to create new ideas for innovations. And then creating the community between countries through the series of declaration. So we always sit down and think about what can we actually declare. And then one of the vision or aspiration of AKIA is actually to create esteemed and social equitable entrepreneurial cross-border mobile between the young architects and internationally collaborative. So do we want to see, if possible, future progression will be collaborative between countries, how we can work together in terms of not necessarily architecture, but we can do things that are related to architecture as well. Then this one is the declaration in Kuala Lumpur. We start to talk about what is the future of young architects. Young architects should offer one-stop solution, future design disciplines, and then providing multiple service to clients while assuring time, cost, quality. Young architects can save planet by encouraging a sustainable circular economy. Young architects as agent to convert big data into sustainable smart city. So you see, among the young architects with different zone also have different direction that they want to take. But this if we can look at this, we can all practice it together and achieve whatever we can achieve. One of the things that were trying was creating the vision alignment with Acacia President's alignment to create future multitasking architect in the future via enhancing specialization of young architects through architectural business innovation, while considering sustainability, preservation, conservation, leverage on IT, IoT, AI to prepare for cross-border service. So I think this is a line that we have done together with Akia to actually start to envision what is the future young architects will be. We also create the execution framework. So whenever we do things, we always think of how to create, because there's wherever you go, you can you will always you will always have the law, this constitution. So that is the vision. So through the vision you can start to see what and align everything, and then you can implement it through digital or physical. So you can start to see what are the things like digital things that we've done, social media engagement, publishing, survey, competition, online, and then physical. But at the day, you have to look into the KPI as well. What is the key performance index that you want to look to see what is the future architect? Whether we want to look at them as multidisciplinary or transdisciplinary, think global sustainability, involved in technology. So how do we measure this? We still don't have the answer. But we keep on doing a lot of program since last year until this year, doing bulletins, doing crates session. And then this year our KPI is to conduct all these programs, which should be translated to the direction that we are taking, which is which we have actually fulfilled in the last 2 years. Now we are moving forward with the president's direction to do intercommittee integration, and while considering the angle of Acacia's direction. Some of the planning, so becoming a leader also, you need to learn how to do planning. Learn how to do execution plan, learn how to do to track the progress, learn how to do your own KPI, learn how to do the planning. And of course, we also have a planning for continuity plan, leadership framework in Akia, in terms of how you can actually plan the next leader. When you become a leader, how do you plan the next leader to take over from you? Because we will not be able to be there forever. There's always the new people will come for the election or changes of leadership. And then that was case study 4. Case study 5 is involved in a sustainable movement. So if you now a sustainable movement is quite big with the UN SDG. I think everyone knows about this: 17 goals, 169 targets, 232 indicators. So everyone is looking into each of the SDG. But for architects, I will recommend you to look into SDG 11. So SDG 11 to me, that is quite relevant to architects, where it starts to concern about urban and regional development plan, and talking about how you do participatory and community engagement. A lot of designs now looking into community engagement. And then you'll start to learn in terms of demographic. Some of the designers now are looking into digital analytics, looking into how to harvest data from online to see what is the sentiment and emotions. Assistance to less developed countries into global impact, and then environmental, housing needs, public space, integrated policies, transport, cultural heritage. These are things that is very, very much concerned within the architectural realm. And then I did a little bit of study of Nepal. Currently, Nepal, 17 July 2019. So currently, Nepal is ranked 96 in the world. So you are very strong in climate action and also responsible consumption production. And then some of it, others are life on land partnership. It's quite there, but quality education and quite reduced inequalities are there, but there's a lot of rooms for improvement. Similar to Malaysia, we have still a lot of places and things are always changing. Yeah? And then in terms of ranking, you can, in terms of within the Asian, you can see it's very colorful. Everyone is trying to look as indicator of SDG on how to improve. But I was quite attracted to this Nepal government vision for youth in terms of how they plan towards the next direction in terms of each of the SDG. So this is actually they already have a National Youth Council that's planning for the improvement, empowering the youth in Nepal. Future trends, there's a lot of type of city. People talking about low carbon city, smart city, green city, sustainable city, healthy city, happy city. So these are all trends. Maybe future will be free pandemic city. So there are future things that you need to be always study or research about this, so that your knowledge is there, and then also you keep updated with the current trends. Some of the projects that the young architects in Malaysia are currently doing. This is from MMRXDA, one of Kia representative, Kawarizmi. He did a program, community design program on his proposal of a market. So he brought in the community to actually discuss on in terms of the placement for the design. So quite interesting using Lego. And then sometimes we do placemaking. We create this kind of smart partnership framework on how to identify suitable sites. We do SWOT analysis, how to bring the youth, which community of youth is coming. Then we start to engage the surveyor, design concept. Then we start to have youth leader feedback on the design proposal, youth engagement, stakeholders engagement, signing of agreement with the parties, drawing, construction. So this is a framework for if you want to do community program. This it's quite workable because some of the organization in Malaysia is using this framework to do community-based program. Some of the community-based program that's done is like this: promote public space. We are doing. This is my hometown. We are actually we got this architect Tan Lokman to actually do for the community. So we as the youth give feedback in terms of what we want. So hence they created this route first, and then after that, with all the patterns. So we all call all the young architects and youth around there to start drawing, and then from there, the architect comes and then start building, and then now we are excited in terms of we getting a new youth center to engage. Yeah. Other things that you can be is be engaged in addressing housing problems, safety for public. This one is a program with the local government. I involved. We call all the we did all this canvas together with the local government, and all communities start to put all their vision of the safe city. So from there we collect, and then from there we create policy. What is the architect scope? You have to know what is your scope. Is from the design planning up to construction. So you can actually start to envision, because people always look at disaster risk management as just helping or providing funds, but there's actually, I think there's also rebuilding and many things. Fighting for the right cause, mercy, you can deal join other associations to help out. And then how internet usage has grown in the last 20 years. I mean, I was quite interested in looking at this 16 million from 50,000 in 2000, now 16 million. With Malaysia from 3.7 to 25 million. China have how many have almost 300% increase from 22 million 2000 to 770 million. So you can see the evolution of people using internet. Statistic in Nepal, there's about 29 million and 60 million, 54% penetration of internet. That's quite good, 50%. Of course, you want to go further, but that means there's a lot of users. And then I did a little bit study, not quite interesting. 9.7 million likes to use Facebook. No wonder Abhishek like to chat with me on Facebook rather than WhatsApp or then. But 9.7 million in Facebook. So but digital social media is social media. But how do you actually relate it to architecture? So technology as the future of youth to start exploring things, especially in the movement for smart city, and then using drones, and then using VR, AR in the work. Beam, how do you start using Beam? How do you start to get involved with Beam 360, Revit 360, to look into managing, and then what are the type of things in the future. There's a lot of things that is changing. And also apps. There's a lot of, I noticed that a lot of young architects now learning how to do apps. This is one of my projects. Was called by the federal government to look into how to create architecture structures at the river, but we didn't want to create the structure. We started off planning for using the apps to connect with people in terms of outreach, to see how many people are using this river, and then at the same time how can we connect to the funders, all the big companies around, so that will enables us to create a business model such as structures that can create a self-sustaining market or whatever on the river, or events that will create outreach. And then from there we start planning in terms of the next what architecture that is needed on the river. But we only reach to the stage of doing the apps. Yeah. Then also it's very important to implement green design in your projects. So like PAM in Malaysia, we have green GBI, which is about 100 million square feet already green. And then there's a lot of trends of green that you need to be updated. Low carbon houses, zero emission houses, negative carbon houses. Then there's other movement like carbon captures, carbon sequestrations. So those are new updated things that is coming, which is still far off in Asia, but it's already in Europe and America. I like to show this diagram, to share this diagram, because this was given by my professor in Japan. I studied in Japan last 2 years ago, and under the tutelage of my professor Iko Sugiyama. He was teaching us about smart city design. He did the Toyota smart city in Toyota the rival city in under Nikanzaki in the Japan. So he explained to us that big data is not only big data, only data, but in their company they are starting to look into integration between the physical space, which is the architecture, and then connect with the cyberspace, and then connect with the urban policy, and looking into sustainability, quality of life. The output is the integration between the sustainable development goal, BEAM, and IoT. So this is quite interesting in terms of how they view BEAM to integrate with social and also cyberspace. How there's a few I met the one architect in Singapore. They're already starting to do academy on BIM, and also bringing VR and AR in their office. That's quite advanced in terms of. We are calling them to give a talk next month on the 27th August. I hope you guys can come. Okay, case study 6, dealing with the new normal. So Atia, we did a survey on the during the pandemic. The respondent was about 700 people from all these other countries, for all many countries. Nepal, 36 people have given their response. So what the state of mind during lockdown? So some said feel normal, some lost, some stress, And then do you think that the world will be the same after we overcome this pandemic? Majority say it will not be the same anymore. Yeah? Of course, it's not the same now, so you don't seem. 35% think, do you think that your job is at risk? 35% of the youth in Asia pandemic has shown that a lot of the companies are trying to save is start with the salary cut, and after that is retrenchment. I hope it won't get to there. What architect think will be different in the future? Okay, 30% thinks that the way we work will be very, very different. 21% say our priorities of spending will be different, which is already true. We are not going out anymore and then spending outside. But if you have a lot of online shopping, then the especially contact sports, eh, way we communicate also through online, choice of travel, we can't really travel, we can do local and others. And then what do you think architect can contribute during COVID? So these are some of the young architects I felt that we can provide assistance to the government, sharing ideas. Surprisingly, there's a lot of architects starting to start when during the pandemic start to do the mask, new type of mask, new type of face shield, you know, sharing ideas and opinions, providing online education, creating various architecture products. This one they said that 35%, 242 people said that a lot of people more talk than action. Probably that's because in the WhatsApp people talking, lack survival skill. Maybe this is something that we can look at and improve. Fighting for the right of the business, giving too many ideas. So what do you think will the priority skill of architect in the future? This is quite interesting because 35% say all of this, which is to be adaptability, flexible, tech savvy, creative and innovations, data literacy, critical thinking, digital. Doesn't matter which skills that you are developing, but as long as you are starting to develop all these skills, you can continue to propel to continue enhance yourself. Have you been involved in adopting any of the following technology? Data analytics. So majority of the young architects in Asia say that they are dealing with apps or web-enabled solutions. So they are starting to learn in terms of webs. I was quite surprised, but the cloud computing is number two. Um, Maybe I went to school very long time ago, but I'm meeting some of the young architects from Australia, from UK. They are actually combining some of their final project with VR, AR, and also animations, with putting cartoons inside their final projects or avatar inside the project to present the project. That's quite interesting because last time we didn't have the. So you can see that there will be future progression, large future progression in terms of technology in the delivery of architecture service in the future. And then we also conducted during the pandemic, Akia supported a lot. Like we do tips for architects working at home in terms of how to be safe. And then we have tips on how to survive, such as uh, such as uh, solving community problem. So you can work with the community. You can start doing ebook. You can start doing online courses, industrial design. You can start doing products design, learn how to do softwares, and then advertising. You can learn how to do digital digital marketing is something big. Some of the architects in Philippines are looking into digital marketing now, digital architecture marketing. Yeah. So some other program we did the webinar web forum, Akia web forum, called 3 young architects to share their how they deal with the pandemic, and then also we did a competition. This competition was quite interesting because we were one of the first to create the design challenge for a dream house that responds to pandemic situation. So what I got from this was about 700 people submitted to Akia, about 100, almost 150 submitted the work, but there were quite a lot of good works submitted in various thematics, looking into adaptive house for pandemic situations, responsive house, work from home, urban farming homes, many things. But what I'm most interested was a lot of the parents actually for young architects, parents message Akia Facebook saying that thank you very much for providing this activity. We truly appreciate for Akia to provide programs for the young architects throughout Asia during the pandemic lockdown. So in conclusion, I bring you to this quote: "Our life are a catalogue of random occurrences that hew us into who we are. We drift from circumstances to circumstances, pointing to the authority, to the attributes that result from our adaptation, and say, 'This is who I am.'" So you have to start to learn, start to think of how to create who you are in order for you to become the future architects of tomorrow. This quote is from Majushree Tapa, Seasons of Flight. I think she's from Nepal. And then you have to know your position in the macro scale. Where are you positioned now? Are you in the government? So if you are a government, these are the things that you can actually start to make an impact. If you are at the ground, so these are the things, you are the architect, how can you make impact at the ground level? So if you are a person that is in the institute, how do you become the change agent to create the awareness, brand placement, execution framework, big data, and integrate between these two parties. So so to become a leader, you have to also know where is your standing point and where is your loci to make the change. You cannot be here and making the change here. You have to find people to work here, or you can go here and start to help to have engagement to make a little bit of impact here. Yeah. And then at the micro scale, 9 tips to be an architect leader. Number one, most important, must be disciplined and organized. Handling time, life, handling your life, handling time and commitment. Many people ask me, how you can you handle 3, 4 companies at the same time? I said it's just time management. If you know how to manage time, I was talking to Adrianta this morning. We're discussing how did we learn how to manage time. Actually, the exam for professional architect actually taught us how to manage time, to balance between working, to balance to study, to learn, to balance between having a study group and everything. That was quite positive. And then number 2 is never stop learning and strengthening your knowledge, professional, legal, constructual knowledge, learning things outside of the field to be current, sensitive, economy, social science, environmental issues, new technology. Enhance your skill to be multitaskers, soft and hard skill, communication, structured thinking, networking, negotiation skills, singing, acting, dancing, whatever you can do. Volunteer in organization, join, learn, structure. What is it about? Join SONA to help out SONA to do more activities. And then talk less and do more. Don't talk too much. Do more. Yeah. And then others, don't be selfish and create platform for others. Keep on creating new platform for others. Never be scared of failure. Architects, a lot of young architects are very scared of failure. Just don't be scared of failure, because every day is a failure and you can learn and bounce from it. And then the last one is keep building your confidence, push yourself to the limit. Find any platform to talk, teach, or share knowledge and be adaptable. Okay. Work as a team, remain friendship, leave no one behind. We will overcome COVID-19 together. So believe in yourself, success in the journey, not the destination. So before I end, I will want to share you a video that just completed yesterday by the Young Architects of Malaysia. Maybe you can get some inspiration from them. In this challenging time, fellow young architects, we have to be resilient and activate our survival skills. Know your demands so that you can supply to the community good architecture and good services. My aspiration is for young architects to take risks and go throughout the world and become the leader to build up the nation. Together, we will make Malaysia better for the future.
My aspirations are that we should never stop, be innovative and explore new ideas and technologies related to our industry. Because everything that we do today matters for tomorrow.
Practitioners at suburban and rural are facing challenges on how we're able to articulate fresh new ideas with constraint in terms of culture, sensitivity, and of course, financially. However, these constraints and challenges should not be an excuse or reason to not to include the suburban area in the wave of modern yet sustainable development in other developed areas. Let us all together building a better world for all in a digital and revolutionary age. As an architect, we must try to keep our mind open all times. We are never limited to just a single business and industry. That is the beauty of architecture. Always borderless, always unlimited, with potential that can be diversified in various opportunities, and that change must start with you. Good luck, young architect.
In these challenging times, we have to be agile and open to new smart technologies. We have to be able to adapt to rapid changes, yet always to respond to diversity and local sensitivity. My aspiration for young architects is for us to start engaging with each other, deliberate and collaborate, so that we can create a community that shares ideas professionally and at the same time contribute our knowledge to improve the society at large.
Hello, I'm Merlin. I'm an architect working in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. For young architects who are looking to adapt themselves to the built environment today, we need to continually upgrade ourselves. We need to continually improve our knowledge. We need to continually invest in ourselves. Technology is changing very quickly the way we live and the way we work. We need to be open-minded to change. We need to be open-minded to learning new things in times of uncertainties, in times of this crisis, pandemic, and also technological advances. There are definitely opportunities for new things to emerge.
Being professional in the government agency, I wish to see a good collaboration and strategic partnership in between public and private sector. It is a big dream for me to see that we can work hand in hand in order to be and to practice in a healthy environment for the betterment of the key point in order for us to move forward. It's very important for us to diversify our skill and ability to make us relevant in this current situation in the construction industry. I wish all young architects the best of luck for a greater future in Malaysia and all over the world.
Okay, solidarity is the key to bring architecture profession to greater height. So we have to be together and united. So with that, thank you very much. Okay, Abhishek.
Thank you very much, Rija, for such a lovely, nice, thorough presentation for the young architects and the students. So it's time for question and answer session right now.
Right.
We have, I think, 3 questions on the board. So shall we start with the questions?
All right, sure.
All right.
Abhishek, you want to come in?
Sorry?
Want to come in? Show camera.
Oh, yeah, sure. All right.
All right. Okay.
Okay. So the first question over here is, how positive are the young architects in Malaysia regarding the pandemic situation? I mean, the crisis that is all over the world right now. I mean, how positive they are staying right now?
For the young architects, I would have thought that there would be a lot of problems. But for the young architects, there's 2 types of young architects. One is 3 types. One is the one that is a student, so they are studying. Number 2, they are employed. Number 3, self-employed. So I go to the self-employed first. So I would have thought that the self-employed will have a lot of problems, but it seems that after the pandemic, there's a lot of job opportunities in renovations and building small houses. So I've asked a lot of young architects how are they coping. So a lot of them are actually moving from big scale proposals to very small scale proposals to even to doing designs of furniture or whatever, designs of products. So I thought it was quite interesting. Of course, for the employees, it's quite a challenging time. But there's a lot of companies that also salary cut. But there's a lot of also companies that actually hiring because of having projects. Because there's the government of Malaysia also actually helping through having a lot of tender projects for the stakeholders in the construction. So I would say that the young professionals, we are still okay for the meantime. Some because the young architects are quite versatile. Even if they cannot do architecture, they will do other things. Yeah. they are survival in terms of
Yeah,
fitting,
yeah.
in terms of
Okay.
because they are exposed to digital media, right? Yep. I hope that answers the questions. Yep.
All right. So the other one over here is like, how do we help young students and professionals from going into depression due to the negative impact of COVID-19 on their work and study? Because I mean, that was quite relevant over here in Nepal too. I mean, because lots of, I mean, the studies and the job opportunities we have been now minimized. The least, the education is now all online or maybe not. The students are being a bit frustrated because I mean they haven't got any opportunity. I mean to move ahead of their graduation stage right now. So what do you think? I mean how can we help young architects or young students and the professors?
I mean, it all depends on the community you are in. So it would be good if you are okay, then you can start helping people, give them motivations, and also keep on keeping an eye on them in terms of their depression. Or and then also that's why it's very important to actually always create platform for others, so that if people are in depression, you can always motivate them and give them hope to work in other platforms. You know, I met some of the architects that don't have their companies are in trouble. So because I have a lot of I have connection in multiple business, ask them for the meantime, while you cannot cope with architecture, maybe you can maybe you would like to do stalls, restaurants, not restaurant, but food stall for a while, or maybe you would like to do some work for exhibitions, or you know, when you share opportunities between the young architects, so many things. Even during the pandemic, I actually take a few interns from students to actually do research, you know, so for me, so I pay them to help them. But I think institute plays a role. I saw some of the institute having programs like helpline, where some of the architects or young architects can actually call and then have someone to talk to. That I thought was quite interesting. So I'm trying to establish one also in Malaysia, but we haven't actually got to that level because there's not many depression on. Now current situation is quite like normal. So yeah, Abhishek, there's a lot of things. Actually, peer-to-peer help is important, and then family comes also. Family is also important, and then maybe in the institute also can help out the members. Yeah.
Right. So you try. I mean you mean that we have to be multidimensional people. I mean they're working in different fields, not only in
Mm.
architecture maybe. So that is one of the
Yeah.
reasons, that is one of the solutions that we can come out of this frustration and depression.
Diversification, because when you look at the essential business, what is very important essential business for the country during pandemic lockdown, you know, it's food, healthcare, delivery system. So those are the three things. But we are doing construction, design and construction. But you can do design online. Some of the young architects told me that during this pandemic, they are more busy designing because all the clients starting to have a lot of ideas while staying at home. So they call up, oh, can you do this design? Can you do call design? So work wise via online is a lot. The only problem is getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the
It
only
still doesn't have the feel of like having a conversation with the clients in face to face, than in the online mediums or whatever. All right.
yeah.
So the other question over here is like, how much is heritage conservation given importance in Malaysia, or is it just built new everywhere and erase the like get rid of the older ones, like happening in many of the countries right now?
Okay, yeah. In Malaysia, the heritage conservation is quite important. Now we have a conservation act, uh, which uh, which hold by the national federal government. There's a body for heritage conservation, so they always give importance on heritage. We don't simply knock down heritage buildings, especially the one that has already gazetted as a heritage building. That one is a no. Uh, Having taken care, I've never actually did work on heritage building, but I'm an asset manager for
I know.
heritage.
Yeah, yeah.
So becoming an asset manager itself is quite challenging. I feel all the asset managers in the world. It's not easy. Maybe people build heritage, but always consider functionality of the heritage space. Because like when I handle the heritage building, I have to take care of simple things like sport pipes at the balcony. When when it's not have enough, then it becomes leaking, and then bat attacks. Bat attacks. Bat attacks. And then water
Mm.
pressure that creates pump problem. There's a lot. You want to take care of the materials, scratches, everything. So there's a lot of challenge in terms of taking care of heritage building. But I do appreciate heritage building now. The challenge is that conservation is very important, but you cannot conserve it forever. You have to make it current for people to use, because no point of conserving things for nobody to use. So the challenge is actually to create the heritage buildings to be usable for the current communities. Like in my case, the conservator was my friends. They are the team of conservators. So and I came as the asset manager. So we always talk whatever I felt that is important for the conservation. I will always call the previous conservator architect to ask, can I do this? When they say cannot do, then I ask, how can we do this? But they say cannot in another way. Without if they say cannot, then I don't do it. But if they say there's another way, we can explore another way in terms of doing it, because it's not easy to do things like concert in a heritage building. Abhishek, you have like many people inside. Markets. I'm hosting markets like 10,000 people coming, 12,000 people coming, concert like 5,000 people coming in a small building, come and go. So it's quite complex. And then shooting, and then filming, a lot of do's and don'ts. So as an architect, not only we can design, we can actually do the policy. We can do what is a guideline, do's and don'ts. You cannot do this. What can you do? If you cannot do this, if you cannot place heavy stuff on the heritage tiles, which is 100 years, how do you place the heritage? How do you place the tiles on the heritage? Like when I was doing together with Asia do the Deepavali shooting at the place. Asia production team was very good. They actually for everything that they install, they will always protect with special coverings and everything. We had this discussion. They wanted to do a nylon cover on the courtyard. I said cannot, because when the rain, the water will come in the house. So we come up with a different strategy in terms of how to do events uh, while while being in the building, right? So it's quite interesting lah. Even to the extent, well, now we have pandemic, so now there's social distancing. Some of us architects are slowly I have to come up with drawings, social distancing drawing planning, meaning that if you want to do wedding, how to do wedding, one,
Uh-huh.
how to do 1 meter apart, how to have 2 meter apart. So I have to draw from the ceremony 1 meter apart, to the dining 1 meter apart,
Oh my God.
to the lining up to take the food 1 meter apart, where to put the name. So it becomes a service. I call it the social distancing drawing service. So there's a lot of opportunities that's happening now. Yeah.
All right. It's the same case over here in Nepal too. I mean, we have lots of historic areas over here. I mean, heritage are like scattered everywhere in Kathmandu, especially in Kathmandu Valley. So like you just explained how people take heritage buildings in Malaysia. Over here, I mean, lots of the royal palaces, those which were built during 16th, 17th century. Over here, they have now been like operated as the museums, and then the shops, the entrepreneur shops, the souvenir shops, let's say, and also being used as lots of the older houses which are like more than 200 years old. They are being now being used as the bed and breakfast services, which where tourists, the foreigners, they love to stay because that gives the essence of the historic settlement that we had for like last 6-7 centuries over here.
Yeah.
All right. And I also remember when we were in Malaysia in back in like Akia Forum last
Yeah.
June. We were allowed to visit the uh, historic settlement in Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur, that the River of Life, I think.
Kampung Baru, right?
Yeah,
Yes, River Line and Kampung Baru. Yeah.
yeah, the River of Life, and the mosque over there, and
Yes.
the a nice settlement over there. They were like quite nicely preserved with the uh, with the story of the historic city being engraved on the walls of the houses over there. So I mean that was one of the nicest things that I saw during my visit in Kuala Lumpur last year. So right, so we're on
The
the same track right now, I
majority
guess.
majority the main challenge is actually the maintenance cost. Who
Oh
is to
yeah, I
who is
know.
to maintain the heritage building? Like myself, we actually ran from the government the heritage building, and then we don't ask any money, and then we whatever generated the money, we maintain back the building. We do the maintenance
No,
for the.
yeah, that's the same case over here too. I mean, we have conservation act over here. We have like
Ah,
government people looking after the palaces and everything over here. We have a social community. That's what we call Guti, that looks after the tangible and intangible
yeah,
heritage for last 1200 years, last 1300 years. God knows how long it was. So I
yeah,
mean, that's how we are managing our heritage, tangible and intangible. I mean,
yep,
in Kathmandu. All right.
yeah, right.
So yeah. So we have another question over here. How often is the curriculum in architecture schools updated, and how complicated is the process in Malaysia?
Oh, this one I cannot answer, Abhishek, because I'm not in the education committee.
And
But
there are
I
lots of lots. I mean, I just I
but we have
want
a
to add
brochure.
something. There are lots of people over here.
Yes,
Uh,
we have. There's a question special related to Adrianta. Should be posed to Adrianta
I
because he's
know,
in
you know,
India.
but I mean that's a question of lots of young people, young architects and students over here. That the curriculum over here, what we learn, what we study in Kathmandu, in Nepal, all over Nepal, is
Hmm.
a bit outdated right now in terms of the how the technology is moving ahead with the
Yep.
time. So I mean, do you have any idea? I mean, like how often that the
Uh,
curriculum is like being revised or being modified to come in line with the time that we are living in? I mean, the technology or whatever.
I think under our board of architects, they have a set of rules of all the schools have to comply in order for the schools to be accredited under the board of architects. All the schools have the same curriculum requirements. I'm not privy to actually answer in terms of the curriculum because I'm not an educator in university, educator in adult learning. But what I know is what I've seen is from this pandemic, a lot of the lecturers are taking their own initiative in terms of teaching the students to improve them in terms of digital, which I found that is quite good. So it's in other way that although the curriculum is not that far, it's rigid, but it's not updated, but it's the if the schools allow for the lecturers to teach them a little bit on digital exposure, so that will create a lot of more meaningful experience to the students. Example like one of the university is currently doing a collaboration with me with my event space, so they are coming to do a survey of the building, and after doing the measured drawing, they will do the 3D for me, and then do the animation. So they will give me the
Mm.
animation of the building. So one of the university, we are working on 3D scanner. So they measure, they do the model, and then do the 3D printing. So this collaboration of between I'm an entrepreneur, but they are architecture. So happen that we work together and think of how we can collaborate. So after they finish the 3D printing, they can put at the place and become an exhibition for the tourism. So we work with architecture school for this kind of projects or even installation. And then there's another question here. Architecture education will have to change or risk becoming irrelevant. Do you think so? I I think this one there's a lot of dialogues on it lah. How education will be relevant in the future, the practice of education of architecture in the future, and I hope for some of the education line will get involved in this type of conference. But having studied in Austria, 10, I think 2000, 20 years ago, but comparing with another university graduates in now, which is doing final year, I think it's very far apart. The things that they learn in technology is very different from what we learned during our time, Abhishek. They can do many things like the animations, video. They are very fast because there's a lot of cheap apps. I remember during my first year in university, I don't have a digital camera. I bought a digital camera. It's so expensive, one digital camera. Now you can use your phone. Don't even have a smartphone at the time, right? But now with smartphone, you can do everything, even animation, even a movie inside this. So you can do many things. Even you can visualize your 3D inside this to show your clients. Sometimes I use some of the software, do the 3D, put inside here, show the clients using the phone. So there's a lot of things, but of course, this anonymous question is quite important lah. That if the architecture education doesn't have this elective to improve for new type of things, so the young architects that in the university won't get exposed to new things that will happen. Because some of the new technology is very, very advanced, Abhishek. One of the things that the people are doing now is VR collaboration architecture. You know what's VR collaboration architecture? So we have one meeting and then everyone will have the goggle. So we can go to site together, 3D site together. So when you go to the goggle, you can visualize the whole building together in one meeting. Yeah, VR. Yeah. So you are muted. Yeah. You are muted, Abhishek. You are mute. Can you unmute?
Oh yeah, all right.
Right.
So
So that's about education.
yeah, that's about the education right now. So I mean, we have one more question. I've been asking about, I mean, the urban farming and the food security in urban context right now, because I mean, in pandemic, it was very visible that the most, I mean, the wanted or the most desired thing is to have the farming, the urban farming, and the food security than any other thing that mattered a lot. So, I mean, is there any approach such as, I mean, such kind of approaches in Malaysia towards this kind of problem right now? I mean, during this pandemic?
I think there's a lot of people always planting things at their house or their backyard or everywhere. The problem is the food security is either for themselves or whether to share, whether it's a sharing thing. So
Yeah.
in terms of if you were to plant yourself, that's okay. The problem is nobody wants to eat the same thing all over all the time. So then comes the question where how do you actually create a sharing of food, urban farming, sharing of agriculture within the community. So what is interesting is that do you have like online shopping in Nepal? Do you have that?
Yeah,
You have, right?
we have, yes.
So a lot of the online shopping softwares, online shop apps, they started having delivering food, all this agriculture. So people from the agriculture can start to tap inside there and become a member, and then they can transfer their products to online shopping.
All right.
So what is important is that a lot of the people start to be in the logistic business. So a lot of the young ones become in the logistic business. A lot of the people in the farming start to go online. So they start to transfer through the logistic. The other one is one of my good friends during pandemic. She was working with recycled bottles and hydroponic
Yeah,
plants.
the
Hydroponic
vertical garden.
plants. There's a
Yeah.
What they do is they do the bottles with the hydroponic plants, and then they do very simple installation or instruction. So they sell from houses to houses through the logistic companies. So I thought that that was quite interesting, and then I just did the collaboration with them now after finish lockdown. So now we are doing collaboration with the school kids. School kids come and learn how to do the system, how to do the hydroponic, and then now after few weeks, the plants already starting to be big. They come and learn how to do the harvesting. Because it's not easy to do the harvesting. Because if you can harvest one time, but then you have to know how to actually take care of the tree for the second time and the third time. Because the tree can be multiple times harvest for 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 urban farming, for ni apa, hydroponic. So yes,
Hydroponics, yeah.
we talk about urban farming. There's a lot of people doing urban farming, but the challenges is actually how to do the sharing economy between the community. So
Yeah,
one
and also like you explained about like for yourself or for the whole community that you want to grow the food.
yes,
It,
if we
it requires a lot of like let's say a mega scale project maybe. So I mean to
not
I
really.
mean
If you have a common apps that can bring people together, then you can
all
start
right.
to the chain food
So you have
chains.
like pockets, like, you have like pockets of online app or
Normal.
whatever that they can who can deliver the food on the right time. Let's say catering the whole community or maybe a part of the community.
You can do the DUF, digital urban farmers, or virtual urban farmers that can share their produce. So that can actually spread out to all the community. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think Rita, there's one last question for this session. It, I think it has asked. I mean, the healing of the earth was a major topic when the pandemic and lockdown started. Do you think positive steps towards the retaining the process is happening, or will it be forgotten as soon as things get better?
This is a very difficult question, but I was talking to some of my friends the other day. I was hoping that if once we get over this situation, we should start the government. We were talking that idea lah. Maybe that the government should have one day one day lockdown every year, so that people always remember this what has happened and transpired. And True enough that this process of the pandemic has actually created a time for healing of the earth. A lot of animals starts to come out,
Yeah, crawling into the city areas,
in the city. So
and
a lot
also
of
the ozone layer being fulfilled with the that hasn't happened for last 200 years. The ozone
yeah,
layer that
the
hasn't formed
pollution, the air is
with the
slightly
less
clear.
pollution.
The river is getting clearer because no boats are moving. So maybe yes, I think to me people will never forget the pandemic, but people will always forget the action.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I hope that if potential, if government can actually do like one way. Sometimes they have the what? No electricity, no lights night. They have one day no light night. What's that festival? I forgot the name. Lights off night, something like that. So
uh-huh.
maybe they can have similar type of events to remember this pandemic and the hardship of people, and then also how. Oh yeah, the no lights is the Earth Day, and then
What day?
the Earth Day,
Off day.
Earth Day. Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So where people all close their lights at, maybe we can have a similar type of program for within the country to remember, or else they will put all the pictures in the museum. There we can remember only in the museum the pandemic times, but we won't feel it. It will be
No,
forgotten.
but I mean this pandemic has been a great teacher for us, for every one of us in living over here. I mean, it has now been very relevant and visible that what are the reasons for all these happenings. I mean, let's say we are going to the nature earth right now, let's say,
Yeah,
because it has already started healing from the point that hasn't happened for like last 2 3 centuries, but now I mean, let's say we are on an equilibrium state, and God knows when it will be again be like getting back to the same thing, but what we wish really don't wish to have.
I I think as long as there's no vaccine, the thing will be the same now. We have to wait for the vaccine. Yeah, the
Touch wood,
vaccine.
man. All right.
So the
So
lockdown will still be around, and then people will still be cautious about traveling. So I think but the one thing good about this pandemic is that all of us are starting to be really, really close with the family. With the
yes,
family,
absolutely. That's
we
one
have
of the
more
main
time with the
features of
family.
this pandemic. I mean, being
Yeah.
close to the family for so long time.
Uh, now we'll be
Right?
so busy all the time, Abhishek.
Yes,
Working.
absolutely.
But now we spend time more with the kids and family. Yep. All right.
So, all right, Rita, thank you very much for all this very nice and wonderful presentation that you have made. I think like our listeners, our viewers, and they have understood what you have tried to relay the message of the youth empowering, or say the leadership that you want the youth to become
Yep.
to move ahead your country ahead. All right. And also, I mean, you have talked about the sustainable development goals of Nepal too. I mean, that's very appreciated that you have explained how to. I mean, that it has explained how to conserve your buildings. I mean, especially the heritage cultural buildings over here. And also, I mean, you have, I mean, taught the younger architects or the students. I mean, to get involved with the community participation during the design process or whatever. And also, I mean, also you have also explained about the ego management, that it is one of the most important features that the young architect or the students has to have the ego management also. And also we have explained about the crisis about the COVID-19 that we are going through, and also in the Southeast Asia. And also like we have also explained about how to, I mean, never to stop learning, that what we all know. I mean, you never stop learning regardless of the age that you are working, all right? And also one of the main features that the young architects and like us need to have is to have a patience, to have an endurance, to listen carefully to other people and judge on yourself. All right.
Yep.
The
Right.
most
Yeah.
interesting thing was, I mean, the last slide that you had shown about the 9 tips for the young architects to grow about yourself, and also to include your people within your boundary, not only
Yes.
yourself. All right, thank you very much, Rita, the chairman of ARC-Asia Committee for Young Architects. We are absolutely honored to have you here
Thank you
today,
so
and
much.
I think, I mean, lots of our people will be very happy to know about all things that you have explained. That would put up some words into the dictionaries. I mean, regarding the management and everything, regarding the youth leadership and the your development in the architecture field. Thank you very much. Last year,
So I would like to also invite everyone to our next event, Akia next event. What's the sharing? Huh? Abhishek, is there sharing here?
not right now.
Share, share. Okay, I share.
All right.
There's this program is happening on the 22nd. Reimagining future of young architects. So you can scan this.
All right.
Go to the Akia website, Facebook. Okay, Abhishek, can see?
So I got to sing that song.
No, no, no. Abhishek sing.
No, no, no. It's
Okay, all
you.
right.
I know you sing very well.
Hey, hi Suraj, how are you?
Hi, hi.
Long
Oh,
time no see.
yeah, long time.
Yes.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. You
Welcome,
bring
welcome.
you bring in so much energy among us.
Yes.
You've become really an icon among all the young architects, or maybe let's say to the elders as well. The way you're really inspiring. You've become a very much inspiring figure among Arcacia and Akia. So it was nice having you. Bring it is a like it's getting into a broad